Hi, everybody. I'm Michael Peyton, and we're here today at IGN FanFest to break down, you got it, the Multiverse. We've got the cast of the new film by the Daniels, who were the directors of Swiss Army Man, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. We've got the whole cast, Michelle Yeoh, Stephanie Hsu, Huy Quan, and Jamie Lee Curtis, here to break everything down for you. Hi, guys. Welcome to IGN FanFest.
Hey.
So,
Hello.
Michelle, I'm going to start with you first. When the trailer for this movie dropped in December, I think everybody got really excited about the 2.5 minutes of the movie that we saw. It is a common phrase now, but it broke the internet a little bit, I feel like. We saw everything in the trailer, but I feel like there's still probably a million questions that our audience might have about exactly what the movie is about. So in a broad sense, can you just maybe break down a little bit the story of the movie and tell audiences what they can expect when they see it?
Well, the thing is, in short, how do I explain this movie? I did it, and I still don't know what it's about. I'm still figuring it out. It seems like Chinese American woman who is doing the worst things possible is trying to finish her taxes, which she doesn't seem to be able to have a handle on, thanks to the amazing Jamie Lee Curtis, who scares the hell out of her. And on top of that, trying to keep a family together. And that is never easy to do. So, I think we all have to watch the movie again to figure it out.
The movie spans universes, space, time, different forms. I think at one point, a few characters actually exist as a rock or various rocks. Stephanie, can you tell me a little bit, though, about that family dynamic that ties the movie together and ties all of the universes together, and what you thought about that family dynamic when you first read the script, and how that makes this story unique?
I think that so much of this film is about the mother and daughter relationship that exists between Evelyn and this character Joy, and about through all the universes them trying to kind of get a hold of each other and find each other. And I think that's very real, in a family dynamic. And I certainly, when I first read the script, I really related to the mother and daughter relationship, and kind of how a family tries to stick together when there is immense chaos to comb through, whether it is a multiverse or just a family dynamic.
Jamie, talk to me a little bit about the originality of this movie, and if that, originality was something that really made you want to be part of it.
Well, the only reason I wanted to be a part of it is Michelle Yeoh. To be perfectly frank, and no, it is. And by the way, all of this aside, I'm telling you, that was the reason I wanted to be in the movie. Period. End of story. Put a fork in me. I'm done. That's the truth. I think you just can't escape the fact that the Daniels are super creative innovators. And in the world today of filmmaking and television and podcasting and all the things that people do to create content, the idea that these people have created these unique perspectives, if you've seen Swiss Army Man, if you've watched their music videos, they are uniquely talented. And in a world that feels somewhat replicatable and pedestrian and a little, there's a lot of conversation about these different entities having a universe of their own, like the Marvel universe, or even in my case, the Halloween universe. It is a story upon a story on a story. And what I love about what they did here is they just came up with something very unique. And at the center point of the whole thing is love, which is the beating heart of any good story. Is, as Stephanie said, it's about family, it's about love, it's about the relationship between Evelyn and her husband. And so I just was very happy to be there. But honestly, I would have read the telephone book with Michelle Yeoh. Maybe she would have thrown the telephone book at me. Maybe I would have had to parry it a couple times. But ultimately, the telephone book would have been a perfectly good script for me if they said that Michelle Yeoh was going to be there and I was going to show up.
Oh,
Fair enough.
thank you.
Yeah,
Truly
Aw.
is the truth. I mean, honestly, right? I mean, you know,
Just
what am I
to
going to do?
No, come on.
piggyback.
When I remember being first introduced to Jamie, and she had me when she said, "Let's ditch the Daniels and run away together." It was like love
Yeah,
at
it was
first
like,
sight, man. And I hadn't even met her then.
yes.
So Jamie mentioned the character of Evelyn, which Michelle plays, and her husband, which is played by Key. So Key, I have to ask, you are a beloved fan favorite dating back to your days on The Goonies and Temple of Doom, but this movie kind of marks, if I may say so, a big return for you. So tell me about what this story, this crazy, mind-bending, bizarre story made you want to be a part of it and made you want to have this kind of as the launch vehicle for the Key comeback.
Oh my God. You know, when I was a little kid, I was extremely fortunate to be in, a couple of very memorable movies. But then as I got older, I realized that opportunities for an Asian actor at that time were just not many. And that's just the truth of it. So when I found that I'm just constantly waiting for the next opportunity to come along, I decided to step away from acting and enroll myself in film school. And after graduating from film school, I started working behind the camera. And it wasn't until 2018, a little movie from Warner Brothers came out called Crazy Rich Asians. I saw that movie. It hit me on so many levels, and I was really emotional about it. And the idea of getting back into acting started percolating in my head. Finally, one day, I called up a friend of mine who was an agent, and I kind of, begged him. I said, "Well, can you please represent me?" And this is after like decades without an agent. And he says, "Yes, I would love to." Literally 2 weeks later, I got a call about this movie. I auditioned 2 times for the Daniels, and I thought I did really well. But then when I walked out and saw another Asian actor waiting in the lobby, waiting to read my role, and he looked like he jumped right out of the GQ magazine. I mean, he was tall, he was good looking, he was in a suit. And I went home, I called my agent, and I said, "Listen, man, I tried so hard, but I don't think I'm gonna get this role." Weeks went by, and I finally got the call. And when I heard the news, I screamed so loud and I jumped so high. It was one of the best calls I've ever gotten in my life. And had you asked me back then, if I wanted to win the lottery or to win this role, I would tell you without a doubt that I wanted this role. I mean, it was just amazing. And of course, to be in a movie with Jamie Lee Curtis and Michelle Yeoh and James Hong, it was just wow. So, and here I am talking to you guys. I mean, this is, it's been 20 years. It's been 20 years since, in a major role. So it's just been so thrilling and exciting.
The family dynamic in this, as we've talked about a little bit, both it seems on screen and off, really makes it special. I feel like maybe one of the other things that makes this movie really special is just the vast immensity of, I won't say the universe, I'll say the universes in which it takes place. So Michelle, I want to ask you, just from the trailer, and I don't think this is spoiling anything from the movie, I'm going to read off, I have a list here. Just from the trailer, among others, we see you as someone who runs a laundromat, someone who spins a sign for a restaurant, a hibachi chef, a movie star, an opera singer, a rock, an animated character, and someone with hot dogs for fingers. So can you talk a little bit about the challenge of playing so many different versions of the same character, and if you have a favorite among the, I guess maybe it was hundreds of Evelyns that you played in the movie?
My process when I start a film, I go through the script and I tag all the scenes that I appear in. And by the time I finished with Everything Everywhere All at Once, the script had tags literally all the way around it, across it, everywhere. I was in every scene, and every scene, a lot of the scenes just didn't make any sense to me. I was like, hot dog universe. I'm going to have to talk the Daniels out of that. and that became one of, and afterwards that's become one of my favorite, because they challenged me with all my years of experience as an actress to be able to play all those parts simultaneously, with contradictions, with emotions, who would take you seriously if you had hot dog fingers? And we had such a beautiful love story that was going on with the one person that scared me the most, Jamie, in the film. I don't know if I could have done it with somebody else apart from Jamie. And that's the honest truth.
It was based in love, because it doesn't matter. I think ultimately at the end of the movie, it's about love. And in that universe, as you said, I think the thing that scares us the most, there's a reason it scares us. And the fact that they brought these two adversaries together into a love relationship, it was some of the most emotional work I've done, because we were so in love with each other. And it didn't matter that we had hot dog fingers. It didn't matter that they squirted hot ketchup and mustard out of them. It didn't matter. What mattered was we were breaking up. And that tension that occurred in those improvised scenes really were very moving, even though when I'm grabbing a suitcase to leave, we're trying to figure out how to grab it with hot dog fingers. It doesn't matter. The emotion connected to the scene with you, Michelle, was so real and so lovely and so poignant that it then belies the whole weirdness of it. And I think that's why that sequence works. And I'm sure that's why every sequence works, because you apply the same level of believability and integrity with every single person and every single universe.
Key, I want to go over to you for a second. You have a scene with a fanny pack in this movie where you show off some incredible skills. Can you tell me a little bit about the prep work that went into that scene in particular, and just all of the things that maybe you learned for this film, or the things that you already knew that you were able to incorporate in terms of the physical fighting, just kick-ass stunts?
Well, I studied Taekwondo for many years. And so I'm quite comfortable with kicks and punches. So when I read the script, I was like really anxious to do the scene, because I thought, okay, I'm going to get to do a really cool fight sequence. And then when we got together and they started choreographing, they didn't utilize any of my punches or kicks. It was a fanny pack fight sequence, and then there's a lot of, the wushu stuff, which I know nothing about. So, and I was like trying to persuade the gang. He said, hey, can you throw in a kick here and there? Because I'm really good at that. And he says, no, we just want to stick with the fanny pack, and that's it. So I ended up training for 2 weeks, every day for hours each day. And so when we got to do the scene, it was really short because, we were on a very tight schedule. But it turned out really well. And, I think the happiest moment for me was when they edited that sequence in the middle of production, and they showed it to the cast and crew. And I was so nervous. They showed it to, at lunchtime. I was so nervous I didn't go see it. And then, and I know they were watching it. And then I got this knock in my, in my dressing room, and it was Michelle. And Michelle says, that was awesome. So to get that approval from Michelle, it means the world to me. It was just incredible.
You were brilliant in that. You were kick-ass good, okay? You were
Thank you.
Bruce Lee, step aside. Here comes Key.
Yeah, you're totally epic. And I also just have to say, because we're all like, yeah, the movie's crazy, and I didn't know what I was doing. This is a square room of squares full of legends, and honestly, everyone is freaking amazing in the film. So Key being like, I don't know, this fanny pack, and Michelle's like, and then I had hot dogs. I'm like, but you watch it and you're like, oh my God, everyone, Jamie, like, just truly completely surrendered to this process in a way that I think even surprises us when we see it, of like, oh my gosh, it really worked and it really made sense, and everyone just brought it in a way that I've never seen. I mean, I grew up watching all of you, and I've never seen anything like this. And it's so beyond impressive, but also just completely blows your heart away, because the heartbeat and the soul paired with the surrender to the process and the immense chops that everyone has inherently is just this crazy concoction of this film.
I want to switch gears for just a second, because this being IGN Fan Fest, we asked IGN fans to submit their questions for us to ask you. So we have a few. This first one I am going to ask first to Jamie. Which universe in the movie would you choose to live in forever, and why? I guess if you had to, is there a universe in the movie that stands out to you more than any of the others that you would want to live in?
Yeah, I would love to live in an apartment with Evelyn, with hot dog fingers as our fingers, and live in that love story that was created. Deirdre Beaudeirdre is a character who is sort of an isolated woman. I believe this woman lives alone, and the only real contact she has with other people is in the IRS office, from behind her desk where she's in a position of authority. And so for me, the communing with another human being in an intense love relationship, I would happily live in that pastel universe with Michelle, loving each other with our weird hot dog fingers.
Stephanie, your character has some of the most, I think they're going to be iconic looks coming out of this movie. So maybe in that vein, I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Jamie. Like, is there a universe that your character, that Joy participated in or lived in from this movie, that maybe you would want to live in, that stands out to you as like, hey, maybe I could stay there forever?
Well, I do get to wear amazing outfits. Shirley Carrata is amazing. But the one universe that I would choose, she did not dress me for, because I'm a rock. And I think I would really love to be in the Rockverse. The whole point of the Rock universe is to just be a rock. And when we were filming in Simi Valley, and there was these like beautiful rock canyons and mountains that we would pass every day on the way to work. And I just was like, oh God, that's amazing. And so I think my soul would really thrive in a rockverse.
So our last fan question from user Technopathetic is going to Michelle Yeoh. In Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, you ran on trees, you walked through the air. Did you have anything to do that was as difficult as doing that when you were playing one of your many multiverse selves in Everything Everywhere All at Once?
In EEAAO, the Love Brothers, Andy and Brian, were coming up with very specific, very physical kind of action with comedy, which I haven't really done before. So that was challenging in itself. But I think what it was the physical comedy where you're not trying to be funny, but the situation is so funny at the end of the day. It was much more physical in this one rather than, running on rooftops or things like that. In fact, actually, that's the easiest part of doing wire work, because it's just you doing your stuff. When you are fighting with someone, it's always about coordination. It's like doing a very elaborate dance piece. Everybody must know their steps. Everybody must have in tune, in rhythm with each other. And I found with the stunt team in this movie, they were exceptional. They were so good at what they did. They made me fly. I mean, I was flying around the set without wires, and that is not easy.
Well, that's all the time we have today. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining. Be sure to check out Everything Everywhere All at Once. It premieres the opening night of South by Southwest on March 11th. And then everyone can see it in theaters on March 25th. And for everything else, be sure to click and subscribe to IGN and watch it wherever you like to watch. Thank you all so much. This was a real treat. It was really amazing.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.